first, he tries to find the truth about the psychic detectives. What vision drew this woman to a canyon of death and led her to face a murder charge?
I didn't want to be right, but the drive was so hard that I had to come. I had to have the answer. I had to know.
Trapped under the ice of a frozen river, did a lost child enter the mind of a psychic 100 miles away and lead searchers to his body?
When you're working with each
In this California classroom, police learn forensics, psychic style. Will it make them better detectives? Mysteries from the files of Arthur C. Clarke, author of 2001 and inventor of the communications satellite. Now in retreat in Sri Lanka, he ponders the riddles of this and other worlds. In 1979, the Fresno police scoured hundreds of square miles in their search for an abducted child. They failed to find her, and the desperate parents of 8-year-old Victoria de Santiago asked a psychic detective for help. On the psychic's instructions, the Fresno police were guided deep into the backwoods to a lonely chicken farm. At first, detectives Tim McFadden and Joel Popejoy were skeptical.
I never dealt with a psychic before, and I thought I'd go up there and some lady in a gypsy garb with a flashing neon sign in her window said fortune teller would answer the door and would rattle a few bones and throw some incense and burn some stuff. And she wouldn't tell me a whole lot of anything, but the mother wanted to do it, and it seemed like we should go along with her. Well, when I got up there, I met Kay, and she was a very normal lady, just typical. And within about 10 minutes of talking to her, I realized that this lady did know something about this case because she was telling me things that she shouldn't know.
Kathleen Rhea counts hundreds of police forces as satisfied customers. She told Sergeant McFadden that the girl was dead. She had seen the tragedy enacted in a vision.
Now, the first thing I saw was her being taken into a car with her little sister and the dog by 2 men at the time. I feel 1 man left before it was all over. And then I started seeing the direction. I wanted to look to see where did they drive her. And I felt they took her on a highway that was going north. And then I felt that then they went off of that highway onto what I felt was more of a country road. And I could see the chicken farm because I kept seeing feathers. I kept saying it's like lots of feathers, like there's a chicken ranch, a poultry ranch.
She told me the body was out east of town, that I should look for a road in the country, that I should look for something to do with chickens or feathers, that there was a windmill nearby, that the body was laying parallel to the road near a plowed field, that it was laying near the base of a tall tree.
Victoria had been with her dog. Kathleen Rhea was certain it was still alive. She said the dog would lead the police to the child's body.
The dog was still missing. And as I left the house, after a couple hours of interviewing her, she stopped me, and I'll never forget this. She said,
Tim, you find the dog, and you'll find the girl's body, because I knew the dog was near it. They didn't drop the dog off somewhere else.
I received a radio call that there had been a dog found that resembled the victim's dog. I, at that point, responded to this address. I made contact with the owner of the property and called the dog by name once entering the residence. The dog came to me. At that point, I felt that this possibly could be the victim's dog. So when I arrived here and I called Detective McFadden, I asked him, what else do you have in order to isolate this area? Now, the time that I arrived here, it was dark. Really no visual at all other than finding the address and gaining entry. And I asked Detective McFadden what else was there, and he said a windmill. And I thought, well, I've got you now. There's no windmill. I couldn't see any windmill when I pulled up. And I asked the gentleman, and he said, yes, there's one in the front of the house. You'd have seen it if it wasn't dark.
So I told the people there, you know, we need to go out there. We all need to go out there and look. And we brought about 10 or 15 detectives out here and started walking, and with a matter of 10 minutes, a pair of them had found the body of Victoria de Santiago right down the road here, probably a half a mile from where we're standing, at the base of a big tree. And the things that she'd told me about the body were all there too. She said there'd be a windmill. It was outside where Detective Popejoy was. She told me, find the dog and you'd find Victoria. Detective Popejoy had found the dog. She said there would be a freshly plowed field. She said there'd be an orchard. All these things were here.
Sadly, this tragic case has never been solved. Psychics often volunteer to help the police. From Jack the Ripper in Victorian England to the serial killers of the late 20th century, countless people claiming paranormal powers have offered to crack unsolved murders or missing person cases that have hit the headlines. Sometimes the psychics can do better than ordinary investigators. For example, when the famous crime novelist Agatha Christie disappeared in 1926, everyone thought she was dead. Then Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, called in a psychic, who announced that Miss Christie was alive and would turn up soon, which she duly did. Each psychic crime buster has a different technique. In a recent case, one used an object to focus on.
When 5-year-old Tommy Kennedy went missing, his favourite sneakers were the key to his rescue. Teams of searchers combed the forests around Empire Lake all day. By nightfall, they feared the worst.
Nice to have you with us. How you doing?
Good.
Have you back? You enjoying your summer?
Yes.
Good.
Then a local priest made an extraordinary offer to help the searchers. He asked for something of Tommy's. They gave him a sneaker.
I find that when I work, especially with missing persons cases, that if I have an article that has been in their possession, for some reason I can tune in more positively to them. Well, after I had the sneaker in my possession, was able to tune in even more, I really felt that I had to sort of project ahead and know what was going to be the path that I would have to take.
Well, I think there were a lot of skeptics. There were some people that were sure that he was a witch or a demon from hell, but there were also others of us that knew Phil and knew what he could do and certainly had some faith in him.
From the picture he saw in his mind's eye, Phil Jordan drew a map. He's kept it to this day.
And I said there will be 3 overturned boats. And directly across from those boats there would be a building, and we would have to go into a thicket and a wooded area behind that building and continue on up until we found a clearing that had a pile of rocks. There would be a brook or a stream, and a little ways past that we would find Tommy Kennedy asleep under a tree.
So we got here, and of course Phil had the map. And as we approached the area, it was just like it was a Kodak photo. And we set off in the direction that Phil had indicated with full confidence.
When I went into the woods, I would hold the sneaker, and it seemed as though each time I would touch it, it would tell me what direction to go, so to speak. The vibrations would draw me to the right, to the left, go forward, continue on. And so I think it just acted as an instrument to help tune me into his location.
17 hours of searching had failed to locate Tommy. Phil found him alive and well in minutes.
When we did find Tommy, it was an extremely emotional time for me. It it was very draining to work psychically that long, and I was fatigued mentally, but I think the spiritual experience of the whole thing, of being able to save a little boy's life and knowing that he was okay, I just knelt and wept.
Very often, however, psychic detectives provide completely misleading information. When an American general was kidnapped in Italy in the 1980s, the Pentagon was deluged with offers of paranormal assistance. But they stopped listening after 500 policemen raided a house described by one psychic and found an innocent and very surprised family having breakfast. Ironically, psychics who provide too accurate information can get into trouble.
A compelling vision drove Etta Louise Smith to a remote canyon high in the hills above Los Angeles. She'd heard on the news that police were searching for a missing nurse. Detectives were carrying out house-to-house inquiries, but Etta Louise says she knew exactly where 18-year-old Melanie Uribe was.
It was as if I heard a voice or someone tell me, she's not in the house. And as soon as I registered that thought, she's not in a house, it was like I saw a picture. It was as clear as a photograph in front of me. I could see where she was. The picture was of a curvy road in the canyon, a curve on the right, a dirt path going out to something white and a hill behind, and a lot of shrubbery, a lot of bush. And I knew. I went into the police station. I met a gentleman, a detective, Mr. Lee Ryan. He was genuinely interested. And I said, I know it's strange, but I can't explain this. So he asked me if I knew the name of the street, and I said, no, I don't. I know how to get there. I know where it is. I don't know the name. Well, I went home. We all get in the van. We drove through this canyon and got all the way to the top, and we had not spotted anything white and shrubbery. And all of a sudden, my daughter says, Mama, stop, stop. I said, what is it, honey? She said, Mama, stop, I saw something. And I stopped. And I said, look, honey, what do you think you saw? She says, Ma, I see something white out there. She said, Ma, it's a body. And I'm going, oh, no. I said, Tina. She said, Ma, it's a body. This person had on no clothing, and that's another thing that made it very difficult to see and understand what I was looking at. But the only thing this person or this object had was white nurse's shoes.
Etta Smith told the police of her gruesome discovery. Amazed by her story, they promptly arrested her. Etta was charged with murder and jailed for 5 days. She was only freed when 3 youths were overheard discussing the crime and arrested. Determined to clear her name, Etta Smith hired lawyer James Blatt.
I can't make a judgment call on all the other psychic phenomena that occur. All I can say is the one that I experienced here appeared to be valid. She found the body. There's been no evidence whatsoever that she knew anyone connected to the crime, and she acted as a responsible, concerned citizen. Based upon that, she was subsequently arrested for the murder. She spent 5 days in a jail cell, and I indicated to the jury that I felt that the arrest was unlawful, that she should be remunerated for that arrest, and that having a vision and acting upon that vision is not a crime. The judge ruled in our favor, and then the jury ruled in our favor.
Thanks to James Blatt, Etta Smith was awarded $24,000 for wrongful arrest.
It took me 6 years to clear my name. I'm glad I did it. I felt that it could be done, but if it had taken 20, I think I would still be fighting. I wouldn't have quit till I cleared my name.